Hi, I'm Seth with Land to House. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I built these workshop storage shelves. I've been kind of building my shop now for about 2 years, and I have to say it's quite a disaster in here. Let me show you around. I've got piles of electrical stuff, piles of plumbing, other random stuff. It's just a big mess. And so I decided to build these shelves to have a storage place for all of my stuff. So if you're interested in building shelves, let's head on into the content. I've measured out that I can have 4 shelves with 20 inches of space from shelf to shelf, and that gives me room to store a lot of my big totes that I have. I want to do electrical and plumbing and paint and just have everything organized so I know how to get to it. So the first step I want to do is take 2 73-inch boards, 2x4s, and rip them in half, and those are going to be the runners that come down supporting these shelves. So let's step over to the table saw and cut down some 2x4s. My smallest piece of scrap plywood is 20¼ inches by 48, I do believe. 48. So what I'm going to do is just use my pencil and trace this piece out and make sure all of my shelves are equal sized based on the smallest one. So now I can use my circular saw to cut out this new shelf piece. I've got 4 shelves, and each shelf has 3 supports, which means I need 12 of these pieces to come out from the wall. So I'm going to actually cut off a 45 to make this a little bit more decorative. So I've got my saw set at 45. I want to come out here, and the topmost piece needs to be at 20 inches. Now for the next piece, I need to cut back out at 0 degrees. And from the topmost piece again, you need to come down here and hit the 20 inches. I'm just going to go back and forth like this until I have a total of 12 of these. One last thing to make these look even more decorative. I'm coming out here at about the 19-inch mark, and I'm just cutting off the very top of that spike. That's going to do 2 things: look nice, and also make sure it has enough strength there on the end so that if flex happens, it's not going to be breaking off that end piece. The next step is to make 24 of these triangles. They are 10-inch by 10-inch, and they're going to be the support that goes against the vertical piece and the horizontal piece, and it's what provides the downward force for the shelf. So I'm going to use this one as a template and draw it out on several pieces of scrap plywood that I have, and go ahead and get these 24 pieces cut out. I'm going to check to make sure my template is in order by drawing this out by hand here. So I've got 10 inches by 10 inches. I did square this piece off earlier, so it should be good. So if I use my speed square and mark from the 10-inch mark and draw my 45, flip this over and continue drawing down that line to the other one here, I should have a 10 by 10. Yes, yes. And that should fit in there quite nicely. Yeah, perfect. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but the line is right in there. So good job. All right, so I can use this piece as my template throughout this block to get more and more of these pieces. So I think I'm just going to flip this over right in place of where it was. And draw out that couple of edges there. And just continue down the line here until I have as many of these as I can fit in a single piece of plywood. As long as the corners are at 90, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're a little off on one of the ends or not. I was actually able to get 15 triangles out of this single piece here, which was pretty amazing. Now I'm just going to use my circular saw with a straight edge and some clamps to cut these out of here. Okay, here's my stack of 24 triangles. Looking pretty good. It just has been raining all day out here. So definitely perfect time to be doing this inside. So the next step is to use my sander and knock off all these little burrs that the saw creates. And then it will be time for assembly. I'm going to lay out one of these pieces we cut earlier, the long ones, and I want to mark up from the bottom 10 inches. So I'm going to just come up here, mark at 10 inches, and if you want to, you can draw a line across there so you know it's where it should be. Okay, and now I want to place one of my shelving supports there at that line. And then next, I'm going to take one of the triangles that was cut, make sure that one of the points is facing down here, and I'm going to use some wood glue, go along the bottom, and then kind of a zigzag here up on the top, and that is going to be placed right down here along that support. And I'm going to come down just a little bit beyond the support to make sure it's not going to stick up and interfere with the shelf. Then I'm going to use some clamps, hold this triangular piece into place. Three of them ought to do it. Okay, now I've just got some 2-inch screws that I'm using. And I'm going to put 4 of them in here. So 2 at the bottom, 2 at the top. Now I'm going to pull the clamps off. Take another triangular piece here. Same deal with the wood glue. Some at the bottom, little zigzag piece up top there. Set it here on the back. Clamp it again. Okay. Pull those clamps back off of there. Now, just in case one day I decide to put a lot of weight on here, I am just making sure everything is nice and solid by spinning this over and putting a single 3.5-inch screw into the back. Possibly unnecessary, but just something I'm going to do. Now that I have the first one on there, I'm going to use a tape measure, move up 20 inches here, and make my mark at that position. That's where the next one is going to go. So I'm just going to repeat the same steps as that first one, using the glue and the triangles, and just get this put into place. And I'm going to make 3 of these total. I have all of the supports built, and I've given them a couple days for the wood glue to set up and cure. It's time to get these installed on the wall. To do that, I'm going to pre-drill several holes in each of these so that I won't be splitting the wood. So I'm just going to come along here and put a pre-drill hole along the sides. I'm just simply putting a hole after a support and before a support. So each one of these will basically have two different points of attachment. I'm going to go ahead and get a screw started in these just to make getting them installed a lot easier. Time to get this portion of the build on the wall. Now, because I have some taller totes, I want to actually bring this up a little bit more than I had originally planned. And I think it's going to work out just fine. But I'm thinking right about here. So let's see how well I can hit the stud in here. The next thing is to take a level against the side over here, and I need to level this thing off. So I need to come out this way. Okay, looks like about right there is the spot we want. Now I'm just going to come back in here and add all of the screws until it's totally locked down. Shelves 2 and 3 require a little bit extra work because you have to make sure they're not only level but also that they are level across with the previous shelf. So one thing I was finding a little bit helpful on this previous, or installing this first one, is to mark the outside of the stud. So for instance, got it right here. So if you just kind of mark the outside, kind of helps get that lined up. Just do that a couple times here. So I'm going to get this set in place here. And you do two things. Yeah. Make sure this one is level across here first. Almost got it. Okay, there we go. So I get that first screw installed. Uh-oh. I put my impact driver too far away. There we go. Now that we have it level across from one side to the other, I have to put the level back up here and get this thing leveled off in this direction. The three support sections are totally installed now. Time to move on to the shelf itself, which will complete this build. Now you'll notice one thing, this is rectangular and this has these little notches in here. So we're going to have to cut these out of our shelf piece. So let's go ahead and plop a piece up here and get our marking of where this needs to be. Now I actually intend on offsetting this just a little bit. So I have space on the side of my wall to put some tall things that I may need to store. So I'm going to keep somewhere around the 4 to 5 inches over there. Go ahead and get a measurement of that. Yeah, I think if I go ahead and just put 6 inches, it'll give me plenty of room over here to store some tall stuff as need be. Coming in close here, I'm just going to use a straight edge along this side piece. Make a little mark to indicate where I'm going to be putting that cut. Now I will have to expand this out just a little bit to fit around there, and then I can take a measurement here to see I'm exactly 1.5 inches out from the wall, which is what you would expect in a 2x4 ripped down. So I'm just flipping my square around, and I'm going to come back just enough to give me room to get around that 2x4, and I'm marking 1.5 inches up plus a little bit. Then I can connect those two. Just a little touch more here. There we go. Now when I cut that out, it should fit around that 2x4 no problem. I'm going to use a combination of circular saw and jigsaw to cut this out. So just going to use speed square here, line up my markings, just cut that out. Then I can use my jigsaw here to just finish this out. If everything worked out correctly, we should be able to turn this around and it'll fit in that groove as it needs to. Just like that. I like when a plan comes together. Looks like I may have some weird inconsistencies with my wall. Imagine that. So there's too much space here on the end of these. I may just use a jigsaw and cut those out, but we'll see. So I'd like to go ahead and attach this with some 2-inch screws here. Just going to move back a couple of inches and get this screwed in. Just like that. I'm going to go across the board here and get everything tied in. Except for this weird stuff going on, I think the shelf looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and use my Japanese pool saw to just cut that flush off there and not worry with it. It'll be a little inconsistent on that one, but should work out just fine. And that thing is nice and solid, so should be able to hold quite a good bit of weight. If you've never used the Japanese pool saw, it is quite amazing. Cool. I'm going to repeat all the steps that I used to make this one shelf and complete the other 3. And when we come back, we'll see how well this holds all of my stuff. I'm going to come back later and organize stuff a bit better, but for now, an example of how I would store some of my plumbing stuff to get it up off of the floor. And then things like this random stuff here, throw that up there, and it's just going to increase my storage space on just my building in general. Space is going to be huge, so definitely looking forward to having all this room. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, and of course ring the notification bell so that you have an update of my new videos. I'm trying to post anywhere from 1 to 4 a week, so there's plenty of stuff for you to watch. Thank you for joining in, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.